Hello, Lensmates. Today we're going to talk about a cinematic universe that, well, it seemed like it could do no wrong, until maybe it did? We're diving into Maddock's horror comedy universe in its most ambitious and, yeah, most divisive film to date. I'm your host, Book Lens. So go ahead, find a comfy spot, maybe even lie down, and just listen as we explore the story of a franchise that's found itself at a major crossroads. It really all starts with a simple question. What happens when a formula that's been a guaranteed winner, hit after hit, finally starts to show some cracks in the armor? To figure that out, we've got to first understand just how sky-high the expectations were. Maddock Films, they had built a genuine phenomenon. I mean, after the roaring success of films like Stree, Padia, and Munja, the announcement of their fifth movie, Thama, created this huge wave of excitement. The stage was absolutely set for another monster hit. And honestly, why wouldn't it be? The recipe looked perfect, right? You've got major stars with Ayushmann Khurrana and Rashmika Mandanna, a prime Diwali holiday release, and of course, its connection to this beloved universe. It even made IMDb's list of most anticipated films. The hype was definitely real. But here's the twist. The director, Aditya Sarputtar, he made it really clear that this wasn't going to be the same old thing. He described Thamma as a romantic comedy first, with the supernatural stuff woven in. The whole thing was built around a love story between a human and a vampire, a very deliberate shift away from the pure horror comedy the universe was known for. It was a big swing, for sure. So that pre-release excitement was something you could almost feel. The teasers were promising this bloody love story that was going to be a blast. But then the movie actually came out, and the whole story just took a sharp, dramatic turn. This slide just captures that disconnect perfectly. On one hand, you have the hype, promising something fresh and thrilling. And on the other, a pretty brutal takedown from the weak, calling it soulless and instantly forgettable. Ouch! So what went wrong? Well, the critics started pointing to a very familiar problem. And there it is. This is really the core of our whole discussion today. This one quote nails the entire issue. The Maddock horror comedy universe, which everyone saw as this cool, innovative new thing, was suddenly being compared to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And believe me, not in a good way. So what exactly is this Marvel problem? Well, it's that point a cinematic universe can hit where it gets so big, so focused on churning out movies to connect all the dots, that the quality of the individual films starts to slide. The need to serve the bigger universe story can end up stifling creativity, and the movies start to feel less like unique films and more like, cogs in a giant machine. And it wasn't just the critics feeling this way. Oh no, the audience felt it too. These comments from a Reddit thread say it all. Sounds like an overdose. This reminds me of the MCU. And this one word, jenuh, it's an Indonesian term that basically means you're saturated, you're just completely fed up. That's a pretty clear sign that franchise fatigue was kicking in. But hey, opinions are one thing, right? Let's get into the hard data. Did this feeling of jenuh actually show up in the film's performance? Let's look at the box office and the reviews. On its first day, Thama pulled in nearly 25 crore. Now, on its own, for any movie, that's a really solid number. But for a super hyped movie in a blockbuster universe, well, context is everything. And this chart really puts that number into perspective. The movie right before it, Stree 2, opened at a massive 35 crore. Thama's opening, while strong, was still a pretty big step down. It suggests that all that hype didn't quite translate into everyone rushing out to buy a ticket on day one. The reviews from critics were just as divided. I mean, you had some outlets like Bollywood Hungama loving it, giving it 4 out of 5 stars. But then as you go down the list, you see the ratings just plummet, with places like The Week and India Today giving it a tough 2 out of 5. It was a real mixed bag. Some called it a fun family entertainer, while others just found it hollow. So let's be clear. Thama is not a flop, but its performance is kind of a flashing yellow light. A clear warning shot for a universe that has some seriously ambitious and very extensive plans for its future. I mean, just look at this list. This is just the rumored slate of what's coming next. Now, when people are already talking about an overdose and quantity over quality, a packed schedule like this one could be seen as, well, either really exciting or kind of alarming.
Which brings us right to our conclusion here. Thama is probably going to make money. It'll be a financial success, but its real legacy might be something bigger. It's a critical warning sign that audiences want more than just universe connections and cool cameos. They want that fresh, innovative spark that made them fall in love with this whole thing in the first place.
And so, I'll leave you with this to think about. As these giant cinematic universes get bigger and bigger, do they have to, inevitably, trade their magic for mass production? Is that just the natural life cycle? Thamma's mixed reception really suggests that for India's horror comedy universe, the answer to that question is still very much hanging in the balance. Thanks for joining me.